Welcome to DXgov governance discussion for Wednesday, March 15th, 1600 UTC. I think it's 1600, yep. And happy Ides of March. For those of you who don't know, make sure to go and check on your Greek literature. Shakespeare. Beware the Ides of March. Okay, let's start. I'll show you the agenda first, and then we will get started with the proposal roundup. So yeah, as always, we start with the proposal roundup. A couple different discussion items here this month in ENS DAO. I had a post yesterday. I want to give a brief update on ENS DAO stuff, and then their quarterly guild updates and Q2 funding proposal. Go over that. And then we'll talk about a draft post from the Operations Guild to onboard Matty G as Treasury Manager. And then we'll highlight a couple things we're checking out at the end there. Okay, starting first with the proposal roundup. So the ZET Q4 2022 payout is actually just passed, I think about an hour ago there. And so that was for the October, November, and December time. We talked about it on last week's call here. Here you see Duty's redemption balancer number 3. I think he or she has had, this is the third one. I think Connor has had 4. So those are the two most, the most used ones. You can see here, this is the transaction that sends the DXD to DXDAO for 76. And then this is the calculation. I think what was helpful about this one, or interesting timing, right, was this was done during the, I guess 4 days ago, March 10th, kind of with lots of this activity. And so when you're doing with lots of activity, it's important to make sure that the ETH part can be verified. So you can see there, it's the exact same amount of ETH that's in the transaction, or the price of ETH, right, in that transaction. That's what was included in his or hers post here. And the other thing they did is they actually did adjust it slightly for the cow swap orders that had gone in a couple of days before, I think the day before, because that affects the NAV a little bit. They did that manually, and then I later confirmed and then added that back to the regular spreadsheet there. Yes, you can see that's 24 ETH and 18.18 DAI. And then we have a wrap 400 ETH through the Mimic Vault here. This is another one in dealing with CowSwap. You need to have WETH for CowSwap. So this is doing it through the Mimic wrapping vault. We saw the guys in the Mimic guys in Denver. They're building a lot of cool things there. And yeah, we had some small issues with this last time. And I think it was basically because gas was very high. So their bot that is typically supposed to catch and wrap this was not kind of took a pass on that, and so was not operating, but it did get executed, and we did have a cow swap order go through. I think it was 2 weeks ago there, and so this is another one to do 400 WEF there. And then we have a Medusa vested DXD claim, which is been staked on and actually passed the threshold for 24 hours, but has not yet moved into the boosting phase. I was looking to do it this morning, but we still have gas is moving all over these days because of market is there. So typically I wait for something in like the 20s, low mid 20s to do some of these more like just logistical or procedural moves like this. So Medusa vested claim, I believe this is his first one. Yeah, you can see Medusa coming in June 21st through February 22nd. So you can see there, those are the ones that have hit the 1 year cliff here. And yeah, so that will be available to vote once it's moved into there, and I will get to that later today if no one else does before. And then that's for the contribution scheme, and then onto the generic scheme multi-call. We have 5 proposals that are boosted or in the proposal of boosting. I'm realizing I did not put these in the agenda. I'm not sure exactly why I did not, but you can see them here. So there's the one that is passing in 24 hours is a cow swap WETH DXD order. You can see this is placed 0.46262 WETH DXD. As a reminder, anyone can participate in these. You do have to set a limit order on cow swap. You can do that through Swapper or cow swap. So you can see here, this is on Gnosis chain. We're going to go to, and then I got to change this. Find the new frame helpful, but like there's this, they deal with multiple chains a little bit different, and I think it does work, but it's a little bit different. So anyway, this is where you would set the limit order for DXD here, not 1620 there. And as always, you can also put Pro on. You got to make sure your screen's wide enough there. Yeah, and so that will work there. And this will also, you can also join CalSwap, but you cannot actually just use this swap button here to sell this. You actually have to make sure you're placing a limit order on Cal in order to tap into that liquidity. Yeah, and as I said, that one's for 24 hours. And this is for WETH DXD. And then there's another WETH DXD that will come in 4.5 days. And then 5.5 days, we have an LUSD order. So this one would be in dollars. You can see here it's 731 right here. So just to making sure that the Treasury, as it deals with these different movements, stays at balance. We're also doing some orders in stable coins. So there's another CalSwap liquidity order LUSD here that will boost in 9 hours as well. And then we have, 10 days from now, there's a WETH DXD here. So you can see 5 orders total, 3 WETH DXD and 1 LUSD DXD. Cool. And that's it for Mainnet. And then just on Gnosis chain, not too many proposals here. We have 2 different proposals here. One from Wayne doing a rep claim Gnosis chain here. So this is actually for both December and also for the January and February. And I think we'll be on the lookout also from a post from the Contributor X team about a guideline on how to do rep issuance in the new time of guild, so we can run people through this process. But Wayne is doing this first here. And I think I voted, I'm the only one that voted for it, but Wayne earned his rep. And then there's another proposal. Speaking of Mimic, they also launched a smart vault for DXgov on Gnosis chain. So it does the same thing as the WETH vault on mainnet, but instead of wrapping WETH on mainnet, it wraps XDAI to WXDAI on Gnosis chain. So we have the same problems on Gnosis chain as mainnet in terms of being able to send native ETH to certain contracts, or needing WETH or needing an ERC20 version of the native token contract. So this is a contract that they just launched just a couple weeks ago, and so we're testing this out here. This is helpful because the only way that we were able to do this on Gnosis chain is actually through member balancers. So that's kind of annoying. So anyway, this was I just created this morning, so I'll have 5 days before it'll pass. Okay, that's it. And also, just because I did it this morning and I'm going to tell someone, notice that I did clear out some of these expired proposals. So now we have a little bit cleaner governance here, waiting to do that on, the key thing is I actually had to do this on DXvote, because DXvote is the only area I can do that. But when gas is lower, I will also do some of that on some of these expired proposals here as well. Cool. That's it for the proposal roundup. Any questions, thoughts? Cool. And then just wanted to share briefly this month in ENS. So as a reminder, DXgv's 47,000 ENS tokens are delegated to Candy Fork to vote on its behalf. And so do that frequently, and then also being involved in the ENS community in general, and just putting those updates every month here. So the big thing with ENS is the name wrapper update is set to launch. So Jeff Lau has been working this for a long time. We've been talking about name wrapper for a very long time. I think the key benefit of it is it allows you to manage subdomains there. So that will be a huge benefit there that is doing that. So it's also, I think, a very cool example of protocol level governance. ENS DAO is doing a lot of different things, I think, that are similar to DXgov. They did some Treasury stuff, right? And they use CalSwap. But they also, like a good on-chain DAO, they also have a lot of protocol governance that they're doing. So this is actually basically the second protocol governance update that they're doing there. And so this is not yet an on-chain proposal, but it is a draft proposal to actually have an executable proposal on chain there. So this was just submitted yesterday there. So it's, yeah, pretty exciting. I think the other thing about it is that it will include like a nice, pretty new DApp. I think specifically the DApp is, look at that, unclaimed gov. The DApp is meant to help the whole manage the subdomain process there. And so that'll launch in conjunction there. Yeah, the endowment, other things, the endowment launches, USDC, DAI, DPEG event, a lot of discussion there. So the funds actually were sent, Candy Fork voted for that proposal at the beginning of the month, beginning of February, and then they've just in the last couple of days been, the last couple of weeks been deploying those actually in there. And so right now I think they deployed 55% of the 16K ETH, and you can check out the wallet there from DBank here. Yeah, and there was discussion likewise around USDC and DAI and ENS. It seemed a little bit more panicked maybe than we were having here at DXDAO, but I think for them and a lot of DAOs, there is this like heavy reliance on USDC or DAI and not even really like the idea of experimenting with these other ones when, you know, we've already gone through the SUSD, the RAI experience, the LUSD, and now we have that. So we're very familiar with those. ENS at ETH Denver was a great experience. Got to hang out with Karma, DX Ventures Grant T there, who does some stuff for ENS DAO and also other DAOs in terms of their reputation across DAOs. And then, of course, the ETH Limo guys were also there, and the NIMI team as well. So that was fun. And then, yeah, so you can check out the rest for other updates and interesting stuff. There weren't any big votes outside of that funding of the endowment tranche that happened last month. But yeah, that's this month in ENS DAO. I don't know if Mr. Sid Mead or ETH Limo guys has anything to add. They're much more familiar, very involved in that community there. And so, yeah, it's great to see both communities being involved with each other. Cool. Next up is the quarterly guild updates and Q2 funding proposal. This is just a post I made this morning, kind of talk about how the process should unfold over the next couple weeks here. So we moved to the guild budgetary system last fall, and each of the 5 guilds passed a 6-month budget that runs through the end of June. And in that initial budget, yes, there were the cost and expenses, but also includes milestones, responsibilities, different goals of the group. And so what we're doing here is with 2 different things. One, asking for all of the guilds to have a Q1 update of some sorts in the forum by April 15th. So this would be kind of just a assessment of where things have gone in terms of the last couple months, and maybe a little preview of what's coming in Q2. So this is separate from what would be done for the second half of the year budget conversation, but it's definitely like a prelude to that. I know I've talked to a lot of guilds who are already doing this as well. We had some of the tasks and responsibilities of the operations guild that were put into a spreadsheet that we shared last week, and we're going to put that into a document and post that in the forum. And then also it'd be really great if just on this call or the developer call or any call that just have, you know, a 15-20 minute video conversation running through discussion over the quarterly update. And it'd be good to just have that recorded so that we can have that as reference point for others in the community who are looking to get updates on guilds themselves. So that's the first thing in terms of the Q1 updates. And again, trying to have it by April 15th. That's 1 month from today. And then the Q2 funding proposal, for those of you who recall, the individual guild budgets were approved individually as signal proposals on Gnosis chain. So like the Carrot budget was approved, the DXgov budget was approved, operations approved. And then there was a single funding proposal to fund each of those guilds for the first quarter. And so those are all those funds that were sent. And then we actually have that here. If we want to look at that quickly. Yeah, and so is this proposal, you see it also sent some funds to Gnosis chain, so that's why that 629 number is higher. than the 469. But we also want to prepare another one of these two. And I think just previewing some of the game plan for that was we're going to aim to have this submitted on chain probably around April 1st so that we can have the funds be funded for Q2. So look out for that to be on the governance docket over the next couple weeks. And then, that can happen simultaneously while guilds themselves are doing their updates. Cool. Any thoughts, comments on that?
Sorry, any plan on how on the format that the update should have? Like,
yeah.
Do we have something planned on that?
Yeah. So right now, it's a good question. So the way I'm thinking about this is, so for a lot of these things, I'm hoping that the operations guild can kind of like set an initial format. So right now I have shared this document here, which is just like a simple overview of the task and goals that were in each guild's own budget proposal, right? So for like this one, this is the operations guild. So in the initial budget approval, you can see here that for each of these, we just have the key milestones and goals, right? For each of the squads, the different things, objective responsibilities. And so all that was really done with this sheet here was putting those into a spreadsheet format and then talking a little bit about the timeline and providing a little bit of update. I don't think this is necessarily the best format, but I think it's a good foundation to be able to go through this process for the other guilds. And then, but probably in a week or two, I will provide an operations guild quarterly update that I think should be a format for those. The one kind of question that maybe the one question that people may have is like how to deal with the expenses and the cost for that. I definitely want that to be part of the conversation and included, but I understand that will be very difficult for individual guild leads to do. So I don't think that they may be tasked with doing that themselves, but I would happy to be able to provide some of that help there. But the big update that would be looking is like, what are the key milestones and goals and objective responsibilities set out for each squad? What is the current update on those, right? And so I'm looking at the DXgov here, right? So you can see here, these kind of 1, 2, 3, 5 different objectives, providing kind of some update on those and questions on those. And then we will also provide some insight on the cost thing, but I know that might involve me and myself and maybe Maddie.
Sounds good. Those are things inside the scope of things that we plan, right? But we also saw things on every guild happening outside the scope that I'm pretty sure that they were good for the DAO. If not, they shouldn't have had happen. So it will be also, I think it will be also good to have like a section or something that what happened that we didn't expect it, that we accounted for outside of what we planned. And was it good or bad, right? I think that's something that it will also be very interesting.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like, because it's a good learning process of like, this is what we thought we were going to work on, but then like what ended up happening? Could we have foreseen any of those things that we did not see? Or was it, something just came up? But yeah, I'll include that. And so maybe after this, maybe I'll put a little bit more of a template onto this post here for a little bit more guidance on that. I just wanted to flag it for people because this is something, hopefully to happen over the next month. And yeah, so be on the lookout here for a little bit more information and help for how to construct this. Okay. Sweet. And then Next item on the agenda is Operations Guild H1 2023 Onboarding and Funding Treasury Manager. This is a post from Melanie, who is not here. She's on Asia time and cannot make it today. So I will walk through this and then open up for questions and comments. So yeah, this kind of, I guess, going from most recent to how things started. So this draft proposal comes on the heels of the Treasury recommendation from the Operations Guild. So this was a proposal that passed the Operations Guild last Saturday. And you can see here, you can go, we discussed this on the call, on this call last Wednesday, but this recommendation is a very specific course of action for DXgov to take in terms of addressing its treasury needs. And the key thing here is it endorses onboarding Matty G's CPA with DAO experience, while also exploring more on the investment manager side. And so you can see here, this passed with 83.3% vote of the Operations Guild. This is a great opportunity to showcase Davi right here and looking at all of these different votes. You can see that votes came from 6 different addresses here, all members of the Operations Guild. You can see which members of the Operations Guild have ENS names that look very cool on there. So this was endorsed by them. And so this draft post from Melanie is to get approval from the DAO itself. And so this is a similar process that Swapper and DXgov both used to onboard developers recently with Federico, Nelson, and I think Yathindra was another one, and maybe Mirko as well, where these were contingency budgets in the 1H 2023 budgets for these guilds. There were contingency costs that was approved at the time, and then the guild is now coming back now to get this approval for this. So we can talk about kind of the reason for this, but I think we've talked about on the last couple calls in terms of the different opportunities and needs of DXgav's treasury components. I think for me, the key component is having a good foundation on the financial accounting and operations side of things, which then will give us some more insight to be able to explore the investment management side of things. Because right now, you really do need to get that first one, so what your needs and requirements will be on the investment side. So I think Matty G would be able to fulfill that well, because he's done, he's got the traditional experience in terms of being a CPA and doing a lot of M&A work in traditional finance, while also being very familiar with how things operate on the DAO level and his experience with Rook DAO. So yeah, this was posted on Monday night late or Tuesday morning there, and it will be up for a couple more days here. But this is actually the draft proposal that would request the funds to pay out the next 3.25 months of Matty G's work service. So that would start, I think, would be March 27th here. And so if the proposal passed, it would go to the multi-chain, multi-sig, and then bridged over to Gnosis chain, and then deposited either into the Operations Guild multi-sig or the guild, probably the guild itself. And then that is how it would be dispersed for paid to Matty G there. So yeah, this is a draft proposal. I don't know if there are any additional comments or questions here. Matty G is on the call here as well, if there's anything specific for it, anyone to ask him, or if he wants to say anything himself. So questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I'm happy to just chime in. No questions. Just want to say hi, everybody. Excited by the potential for this opportunity. I think it could make a good difference. So if you're not comfortable in asking any questions or say anything out loud directly in this group, feel free to reach out to me directly, and happy to answer any questions anytime. So excited to be here.
Cool. And this has been a bit of a long process, but I also think a learning process in a lot of different ways. Kind of two big learnings. One is on what DXDAO's needs and Treasury strategy should be. Like just going through this conversation with Maddie, with the other individual candidates, but also with Kaparki and Avant-Garde, I think we all collectively have a little bit better understanding of what the needs are. And then I think at least for the operations guild, and I speak of myself, someone who's like spent a lot of time and talked to all of the different groups a lot. It has been, again, a educational experience in terms of what DXDAO should focus on going forward. And so I'm just kind of excited to now have some new ideas about the Treasury to try to be able to implement there. So I think that's the first learning. And I think the second learning is on the process and onboarding, the onboarding process here. And so this has always been a tough nut to crack for DXDAO. You know, how do we bring people into DXDAO? How do they gain legitimacy as community members? How does the DAO make a decision on this? And so there have been various different kind of hiring methods that we've done. Some work, some have not. So I think this is another experiment in that, in terms of having a little bit more autonomy for the guilds in leading that process, kind of going along with all of the steps we've taken the last month. So I think it'll be important for us to reflect in a couple months on how this process worked or didn't work, but at least it was kind of something that we were trying something new, and we can learn from it. Cool. Yeah, well, if there are any other thoughts, please speak now. I think this should be up for another day or so to get 3 days, but I'm hoping to get this, being able to submit this by the end of the week. Augusto.
Yes. I just wanted to share the notes of the latest release that we did on DXgov. Is the DXgov contracts version 2.0. This reflects the governance 1.5. And we are working with Wayne, Federico, Fedenani, and Milton in an article that is going to outline and describe the next step, that is going to be governance 1.5, and the step after that, that is the one that we presented that Federico and Milton presented on the weekly developer call the past week, about governance 2.0. So yeah, we are working on this is very technical, but this just happened, that you see there, an hour ago. And yeah, we are working again on that article, and we are planning to share that this week, and hopefully it's going to clear a lot the everything that is happening related to governance, technical upgrades and changes that we are going to be doing in the following months. So maybe we are going to have more information next week, but yeah, that's the plan.
Really awesome. Yeah, just really cool. And reading through this, and those of who you are familiar with DXDAO governance, it may feel complicated and technical, but there's a lot of things in here that are just great to learn. And I will say, Gusto, I did notice this, and I did even put it in the also worth checking out section of the agenda, because I thought it was so cool, even though it was just posted an hour ago. Yeah, so that's a really good one. It would actually be great if you guys get that article posted, or whatever, it's a DAO Talk post or whatever. It may even be cool to like present that on a call and ask some questions about this, because I think this is a big deal. Maybe even something I'm thinking on the community call, Keenan, is another idea of like something here, because I think there's definitely a big opportunity to milk this this kind of upgrade and this process here for a lot of great content, because it is a big deal, and it does talk a lot about the cool governance stuff that DXDAO has always been working on here. So excited to see it, excited to talk about it, and excited for it to be a reality. Awesome. Just a couple other things also worth checking out. I set up the meetings for the monetary policy and the priorities board monthly check-in for this month. They'll be March 30th and and March 27th. You can see right here. You can add them to your calendar here. I hope the time zones all work out here. This is such a difficult week for time zones. But so those, make sure to attend those, ask any questions there. There's also some sweet Davi v3 release notes that are in Discord that you can check out there. And there's also a nice tweet thread from Wayne about, or the Swapper Twitter, about some of the cool release notes in Swapper Beta v19. So make sure and check those out if you're interested in more. But that's it for now. Any parting thoughts, comments? Great. Thanks everyone for joining. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Thanks. Cheers.
Adios.